Was the Gospel of Mark written using Homer as a starting point? The short answer, this is not the traditional view, but some modern scholars believe that Mark draws on Homeric literary techniques. It's not a consensus, but it is a serious hypothesis discussed in biblical studies. Two main positions in scholarship: 1. Traditional position, majority view. Mark relies mainly on Christian oral tradition, the Old Testament, and internal sources from the Jesus movement. Homer is not considered a direct source. This remains the dominant view in classical academic circles. 2. Modern literary position, minority but influential. Some scholars, the most famous being Dr. Dennis R. MacDonald, argue that Mark uses mimesis, meaning literary imitation, drawing on scenes from the Iliad and the Odyssey, to present Jesus as a hero superior to Greek heroes. According to this hypothesis, the calming of the storm echoes Odysseus facing storms. The Gerasena demoniac resembles monsters from the Odyssey. The mission of the disciples mirrors the journeys of Odysseus' companions. The idea is not that Mark copies Homer, but that he uses well-known Greek literary models to structure his narrative. Thus, Mark is not written from Homer in a strict sense, but it is possible that the author used Homeric motifs as a literary framework alongside his Jewish and Christian sources. It is a debated hypothesis, not an established fact. Were the Gospel writers Greek? Not necessarily ethnically Greek, but almost all of them were Greek-speaking, trained in Greek literary culture, exposed to Greek stories, myths, and narrative techniques, and living in a world deeply Hellenized since Alexander the Great. In other words, even if they were Jewish, they thought and wrote within a Greek cultural environment. So if Mark writes in Greek, for a Greek audience, in a Greek world, it makes sense that he knows Homer, knows Greek literary techniques, mimesis, heroic parallels, dramatic structure, and uses references his audience understands. This doesn't mean he copies Homer, but that he shares the same literary universe. A striking parallel, the anointing of Jesus. One of the most surprising parallels proposed by Dr. MacDonald is the idea that the anointing of Jesus by a woman in Mark reworks a passage in the Odyssey where Penelope anoints Odysseus. It's not word for word, but the narrative motifs are very close, structured in similar ways.